Marantz recently introduced their 10 series flagship products. The Model 10 amp, the SACD 10 SACD player and the Link 10N streaming DAC and preamp. In this review I'll be diving into the latter. During the press presentation I got quite interested in the Link 10N, so I asked for a review sample. As usual with Marantz and other brands that also make equipment for wider markets, the source and the amplifier and even a third-party TV work almost as one device. So Marantz convinced me to also do a review of the Model 10. It is due next week. What I didn't realize is that both the Model 10 and the Link 10N weigh over 33 kilos, 73 pounds. My studio is 2 flights of stairs up, and despite training 3 times a week, I decided to leave both the streamer and the amplifier downstairs and move the measurement equipment downstairs instead, and used the art of video montage to have the Link on the desk next to me. But let's see where the Link is to be used. The Link is a very versatile device that can function as a streamer, DAC, preamp, does HDMI ARC and so on. Let's start by viewing it as a streaming DAC. It then is connected to a line level input on your amplifier such as CD or aux. The amplifier must have speakers connected unless you want to use headphones. In that case you don't need an amplifier as the Link has a headphone output. As with any streamer, it needs to be connected to your router/switch via a network cable or Wi-Fi. That way it is connected to the internet and to your computer or NAS. From the internet you can stream internet radio and streaming services you have a subscription to. Although you can select music using the controls on the front, I would prefer using a smartphone or even better a tablet. The Link uses the HEOS streaming system. The app can be downloaded for free on both the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Alternatively, you can use Roon, DLA or Apple AirPlay. Music can also be played from a USB drive. A CD player can be connected digitally over AES EBU, SPDIF or Toslink and analog over a pair of RCA or XLR cables. A turntable can also be connected even if it has a moving coil cartridge. A TV can be connected over HDMI ARC, in which case Link is automatically switched on while the volume control on the TV remote will control the volume of the Link. Up till now we used an integrated amplifier to set the volume, but the Link can be connected directly to a power amplifier, in which case the volume is set on the Link. The same goes for active speakers, the ones with built-in amplifiers, when connected over XLR or RCA cables. A subwoofer can be connected to. The crossover frequency can be set. All 3 Series 10 products are available in champagne or black finish. I was loaned a black one. On the front, the control panel appears to float in front of the actual front panel. This impression is reinforced via rows of LEDs behind the control panel. To paraphrase Frank Zappa, you could say that the Link is Titanic, measuring 440 by 472 by 192 millimeters and weighing in on a whopping 33.3 kilos. Left on the control panel is the small power button, which when pressed lights up while the indirect lighting behind the control panel is switched on. Above that is the input selector. The information button toggles the content information on the display. Then there is a skip back, a play pause, a skip forward and a favorites button. The central located color display shows the music being played and is also used to display items in menu mode. Further to the right is the infrared sensor with the cursor keys below that and the OK button in the middle. On the right is a large volume control with the headphone jack below it. The back can be a little intimidating with 32 connections and one knob. When you break it down by section, it all makes sense. Let's start with the digital inputs. 2 optical Toslink inputs, a split of coaxial input on RCA, an HDMI ARC input for reproducing TV audio, and a USB-B port to connect to your computer. Then the analog inputs, with a pair of balanced inputs on XLR, a pair of unbalanced inputs on RCA, a pair of phono inputs on RCA, and a signal ground. The phono inputs can be set to moving magnet and 3 moving coil settings. Then the preamp outputs, a pair of balanced analog outputs on XLR, a pair of unbalanced outputs on RCA, and an unbalanced subwoofer output on RCA. Then the analog line outputs, which have fixed output levels. Again, a pair of balanced outputs on XLR and a pair of unbalanced on RCA. If you want to use an external DAC or amplifier with built-in DAC, there is an optical output on Toslink and a SPDIF coaxial output on RCA. The Ethernet cable goes here, and a USB storage device containing music can be plugged in here. Then there's the remote control section, an input for a flash, a remote control input, an output for interfacing with other Marantz gear, a switch to use the internal or external flash, and a RS-232C port for those fancy boardroom remotes. The IC mains inlet is here, the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi antenna socket here, and the WPS connection button here. And there's another way to look at the back. There are 3 layers. Top layer contains the digital connections on one side and the digital to analog converter with line outputs on the other. The middle layer contains the analog preamplifier electronics, while the bottom layer contains the control electronics and power supplies. This is even clearer on the inside. I didn't feel like taking the Link apart, but fortunately Marantz published pictures like this one. The entire chassis is constructed from a 3-layer aluminium chassis with copper plating. The bottom layer contains the 2 encapsulated toroidal transformers. The rectifiers, stabilization and regulator electronics are mounted further back under the platter of the 2nd layer. This forms a good shielding between the power supply and the preamplifier board above it. Here on the side a part of the printed circuit board is visible. On the 2nd layer we see the analog preamplifier section with next to it the phono stage, which is again separately shielded. The top deck forms a shielding between the analog preamplifier and the digital electronics above it. A vertical bar shields the digital electronics from the DAC and line outputs. The electronics for the display and the controls are mounted against yet another plate which provides shielding. And finally the front is mounted. The top deck contains the digital circuits as we have seen. The familiar Panasonic HDMI chip handles the HDMI ARC input, while the AES-3 inputs are handled by an XMOS chip. At the heart of the Link is the HEOS module. This is also found in other HEOS gear and is essentially a small computer that does the actual streaming, outputting a digital signal. The advantage is that only one operating system needs to be updated for all gear using this module. I've seen this work with Auralic, Bluesound, Veeam and others. It works much the same for Raspberry Pi based streamers. It's up to the power supply and the electronics following the module to take care of the sound quality. The Link uses an Altera VMAX DSP, 2 analog devices Shark processors and 1 processor that I couldn't identify. The connection between the digital board and the DAC section is made via this bridge, most likely over isolators. This is the DAC section, which again features an Altera Max 5 DSP. It does the upsampling to DSD as part of the Marantz musical mastering DAC. From the DAC the signal goes to the line output circuit and the preamp. The Link uses new HD AM modules, discrete op-amp modules instead of op-amp chips. Using the front display and buttons on the front or on the remote control, you can use all functions of the Link, including playing streaming services and music from DLA servers and shares. The remote is very well built. There are 50 buttons, and if you look at them in groups it becomes easy to understand the functions. At the top are the buttons that allow you to switch this remote on for the amplifier, SACD player or the Link. On the right is the power button. Then the input select section, with the HEOS logo in the middle of the top row. When a signal from Roon or via AirPlay 2 is sent to the Link, it will automatically switch to that input. Bluetooth chooses Bluetooth reception, but it is also possible to pair with Bluetooth headphones or speakers for playback. Then the transport buttons, skip back, play pause and skip forward. Below that is the input select and volume with stop, play and mute in between. The cursor and enter buttons are used to make settings. The top 4 keys of the numerical keypad can be configured to make custom settings, such as playing a specific internet radio station. These 2 buttons enable shuffle and repeat. The bottom row can enable direct mode, which bypasses all processing like tone control. Lighting turns off the display, dimmer dims the display, and sleep puts the Link to sleep. Once the HEOS app is downloaded and launched, it will list any HEOS compatible device on your network. In this case the Link. This will take you to the home page, which look like this. The order of the categories can be changed, but by default it will show you recent played music, HEOS favorite stations, music services you select, those that require a subscription, sources, radio and HEOS playlist. I'll show you how to access the music on your computer or NAS. Go to sources, select server and you'll get a list of shares and DLA servers. You're unlikely to have that many entries, but I have 2 small and 1 large Synology NAS, all 3 running Minim server, plus the Sonic Transporter music server with Roon, Minim server and Audivana, plus a Samba share. If I now search for Pink Floyd, it will show you all the entries it could find on all the streaming sources it is connected to. Under Artist it will show you all the albums it has available. Let's search for Atom Heart Mother. Like all software, it takes some time to get used to, but it all works quickly and solidly. For those who want more advanced searching and selecting, you can sign up for Roon, Audivana, Apple Music or any other app compatible with the Link. The Link was connected via Grim Audio SQM XLR cables to the Air Acoustics AX520 amplifier. This in turn drives the PMC FAC12 signature speakers on Stack Audio OVA 70 isolators and connected via AudioQuest Robinhood Zero speaker cable. The switch was the Zixel GS1900-10HP, which was connected to the Link over a Network Acoustics Eno2 system Ethernet filter. Also connected to the Zixel switch was the Zixel Odido modem, which provides internet access via a Nokia media converter to 1 gigabit per second fiber. The small Green Computer Sonic Transporter i7 CDR running Roon server, Minim server and Audivana core server was also connected to the Zixel switch via a patch cable. The iPad Pro 2 was used to run HEOS and Roon. The first thing I noticed was its musicality. The music grabs you immediately. The sound character is on the warm side while maintaining sufficient resolution. Sibilance is very well controlled. The stereo image is as to be expected in this price category, royal and precise. I rate the Link 10N top quarter of my setup 1A standard. You don't often see things as HDMI ARC in products from this price. I did not try the phono inputs. I left Final 15 years ago, so I won't judge the phono inputs, but 3 MC settings next to an MM setting is again something that you do not often see on a streaming preamplifier. Versatility is the keyword here. Perhaps the basic graphics of the HEOS app is a bit of a contrast, but it works reliable and you can always switch to room. The build quality is fantastic, but if you have your stereo on the second floor, you would rather have your dealer install it. That is the least he can do for a €12,000 streamer. 33 kilos is very heavy. Occupational health and safety laws in my country require 2 people handling the Link. Of course, in this price category you want to listen to it before deciding to buy it, but I think you will not be disappointed. And on that bombshell we come to the end of this video. There will be a new video next week, so subscribe to this channel or follow me on Patreon, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram or TikTok to stay up to date on new videos. Patreon and YouTube Premium subscribers see my videos a week earlier and without ads. Help me reach even more people by giving this video a thumbs up or link to this video on the social media. It would be greatly appreciated. A big thanks to the viewers who support this channel financially. It keeps me independent and allows me to improve the channel further. If that makes you want to support my work, the links are in the description below this video on YouTube. I'm Hans Beekhuizen, thank you for watching and see you next week. And whatever you do, enjoy the music.